Hello again, everyone. All right, so let's take it to the comments, shall we? All right, St. Croix asks, a quick question. When you mention submixes only impacting a portion of the signal, what did you mean specifically? Is there an unaffected dry signal associated with the sends, which limits the totality of the effects? And the answer to the question is yes. So I admittedly misspoke when I mentioned a portion of the signal. Whenever you use the send return functionality of the MPC, essentially what winds up happening, not unlike any other digital audio workstation, is a dry signal is ran parallel to the process signal. So in order to eliminate any and all ambiguity associated with submixes versus sends and returns, what I've decided to do is do a video observing the contrast between the two. So let's take a look. Okay, so for starters, what I'm going to do is reiterate what was mentioned in my previous video about submixes. Okay, so essentially what submixes is basically a bus whereby which we can route a series of signals through a single insert. This basically prevents us from having to create inserts for each individual component of our mix. So again, just to reiterate, I'll go over this really quickly. First, let's hear the track. Okay, so let's see. So we have two tracks to which we need to concern ourselves. Number one is the drum track, and number two is our ePiano 251 chord progression track. All right, so let's see. If I press menu and go into my pad mixer, you'll be able to see each individual element of the drum track. Perfect. Okay, so let's see. We have a 1, 2, 3. All right, so what we're going to do this time around is we're going to route each of we're going to route select pads to a submix, and this is how we do it. Okay. Let's see. So right now I'm going to focus in on pad A3. Instead of routing the output to the program, I'll just route it to submix number 1. Let's see, I think number 4 was another one. We can route that one to submix number 1 as well. Let's grab 7 and 8. All right. Okay, so we have 4 out of 5. Yes, we have 4 out of 5 routed to submix number 1. What we'll do is we'll tap the menu button again, and this time we'll go into our channel mixer. All right, so what we'll do is we'll switch from programs to submixes. Okay, I'm going to focus in on submix number 1. And let's apply an insert. Something obvious. All right. So essentially what's happening here is the 4 elements of our drum section have been routed to the cutoff insert, or should I say the filter insert associated with submix number 1. So the significance of a submix is that it affords us the capability of routing a series of pads, audio signals, what have you, through a single bus, whereby which we can directly impact them via an insert, in this case, the filter. So, pretty simple, pretty rudimentary. Now, let's take a look at the contrast between submixes and sends and returns. Okay, so for sends and returns, what we're going to do is divert our attention to the 251 E piano chord progression. All right, let's see. Which soloed out sounds like this. Sounds like that in the context of the mix. Oh, and by the way, the reason that the signal is pumping is because I'm using the MPC sidechain compressor of the Mother Ducker, which is one of my favorite sidechain compressors of all time. Okay, so now let's take a look at how our sends and returns are going to work as it relates to this track. So what we're going to do is we're going to go into our menu. We'll go to our pad mixer. All right, the E-piano chord progression sample is located right here on pad A1. Okay, so in order to access my send view, what I'm going to do is press the send tab. And notice what wound up happening is I wound up accessing send view number 1, to which there are 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go back to number 1. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to alter the level of the send. Right now, we have nothing passing through. So what we can do is we can up the level. I'll up it to about 50%. We'll leave this view and we will go to the channel mixer view. All right. Previously, I had my view set for submixes. Now, this time around, I want to set it for returns. Now, what I've done is I've inserted a reverb on the return slot. Return 1, reverb. So now, the E-piano is being passed through a reverb. So then the question is, what's the difference between a send and return and a submix? Well, what's happening right now is the E-piano's original signal is running parallel to the return signal, whereas with submixes, the drum signals were impacted directly. So again, what you're hearing right now is a mixture between the original signal and the process signal. What I can also do is return to my pad mixer window, double tap, and I can change the amount of the signal that's running parallel. And that's pretty much it. Again, just to reiterate, sends and returns run the original signal parallel to its process signal, whereas submixes impact the individual elements directly. And that's it. There you have it. All right, guys, so that pretty much does it for the differences between submixes and sends and returns. As always, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. Until then, I'll see you guys around. Thank you.